Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you watching us from wherever you are around the world. Welcome to Renault eWays, a unique event dedicated to the mobility of today and tomorrow, an event that gathers the men and women who are taking tangible actions to meet the challenge towards zero emissions. We're coming to you from Hangar Y, which is an industrial building just outside of Paris in Meudon, and connected with us today by the wonders of technology from The Hague in the Netherlands. Steve Howard is with us. He is a co-founder of We Mean Business Coalition and also the former CSO at Ikea Group. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Louise?
Fantastic. It's really good to have you with us. So as its name suggests, Renault eWays aims to explore and open the way to new electric, smart and positive mobility solutions, new ways of innovating, embracing change with innovative thinking. That's the name of our sequence, of course, today. And if you're with us today, Steve, it's because you embrace change with innovative thinking. You've spent a good part of your life dedicated to sustainability. As the former CSO of Ikea, you led the switch to selling LED lights and only LED lights in Ikea. It was a very bold move at the time. Why did you make this decision, first of all, and what did you learn from it, Steve?
Yeah, it's a great question, Louise. I mean, at the time, the lighting division in Ikea was selling a few thousand LEDs and lots of halogens and compact fluorescents. But we knew LEDs were the future. So then your choice, when you recognize that a technology is superior, it lasts far longer, it'll last 20 years. So we can be doing e-ways in 2040 and you'd still have an LED working then. It's 85% more energy efficient than an old halogen. So you know it's going to be the future. Then you say, well, do you want to be a follower or do you want to be a leader? And the way to lead is to say, okay, let's go all in. And we self-banned halogens and CFLs. We gave ourselves about 2.5 years and said, let's just ban those and only sell LEDs. And then we worked 100% behind better LEDs. And it was interesting. The next day, after we made the business decision to do it, we stopped an investment in a slightly better compact fluorescent factory because that was no longer part of the future. And all of the effort, all of the innovation created scale around LEDs. And I think Ikea has sold about 500 million LEDs now. And the power of also deciding, the big lesson was go all in for the future you want. Set 100% targets and be bold.
Great. So you went all in. Taking into consideration this experience, do you think that the car industry can be inspired by Ikea's business model and boldness and also your CSR commitments that you made at the time?
I'd hope so. And I think you can see really good leadership now. And Renault was really early into the electric vehicle space. So Renault's got some history on electric vehicles. And we can now see the future is a radical shift. We used a couple of other things that were good in Ikea. One was being really customer focused and trying to have thinking that was, you think out of the box. And there was a concept there, which is still there today, called democratic design. And democratic design is making things that are beautiful rather than ugly, that are functional rather than useless, that are affordable rather than expensive, that are sustainable rather than unsustainable. So you're making good quality functional design accessible to people. And we think mobility can be the same. And the e-way revolution, the electric vehicle revolution, gives us opportunities to reinvent mobility in totally new ways and think, how do we provide that universal access to mobility that people want?
Would you say that CSR increases motivation and productivity, Steve?
I think, yes, it does, but we've gone beyond sort of the simple definition of corporate social responsibility are, do something nice along the side of your business. And now we're looking at total business model. How do you create businesses that help people thrive, have brilliant lives, have decent, great jobs where they can thrive within the limits of the planet? How do we tackle climate change? How do we provide the things that people need in the 21st century? So it's about purpose. And now it's about aligning your business purpose, your business model, your products, your customers, your value chain. So we've gone really deeper. But when you do that, you unlock performance on a whole new level.
So you need happy customers, and you also need a very happy team. They need to be productive, they need to be inspired, and this helps to motivate them. Is that correct?
Well, if you can be working just to develop products, and people have passion. People are passionate about technology or about customers or about sales in business. They're passionate about different things. But if you're thinking, what we're going to do, so let's take the challenge that Renault's here for today. How do we provide great, appealing mobility solutions for people, the cars of the future, the mobility solutions of the future, but do that in a way which has zero pollution? Then that's an inspiring mission, because we all want to travel, we all want to be mobile, but we'd like to do it and have a world we can cherish and pass on to future generations. And that's a way bigger mission. And most people, when they look to leaders, they look to businesses, they want purpose, they want great products, they want value for money, they want respect. So I think it takes things to a whole new level.
Fantastic. We know that you are committed to developing innovative ways to making sustainability attractive and affordable for everybody. How can this commitment be applied to the mobility sector, Steve?
I think when you look at a total redesign, I'll go back to LEDs just because it makes it really
sense.
Logical.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you think old-fashioned light bulbs were kind of heaters. They were heaters that produced a little bit of light. So the light shades is kind of strange. You produce a light, the shade around it seems a bit odd. But that was because of the heat. So we had to have big light shades. When you have LEDs that don't produce much heat, that can be sorts of different shapes, that can be flexible, that can come on and off fast, that can be hard and tough, you can totally redesign lighting. So that unlocked innovation in Ikea, where we could redesign the way we made lights and take them into every corner of the home in different ways. So e-mobility, you're no longer making controlled explosions with a flammable substance and a tailpipe to drive a car forwards. You've suddenly got no tailpipe, you've got no solution. You could have cars drive into the middle of buildings because there's no problem. As we move further into the future, when we have more car sharing, we have different shaped vehicles, we have fractional ownership, we can meet people in different ways. If you also think, for some people love to drive. They love to drive. Some people just want to go from A to B in a comfortable, convenient, affordable way. So for the driver, technology, your phone, your iPad's a distraction. For the passenger, driving's the distraction. So how do we actually incorporate technology for people in a way that people live, work, and play in e-mobility? So I think it's a revolution that goes way beyond the simple switch of going from an electric drivetrain, to an electric drivetrain from an internal combustion engine.
Let's talk a little bit about the mobility of the future. I think it's quite interesting to have your opinion. At a time when climate change is being more and more visible, I'm talking about the Californian forest fires, for example. How can we imagine the mobility of the future, Steve?
I think this is the great challenge for our generation. And I've talked about climate change for a long time. I ran a climate change NGO before I joined Ikea, and We Mean Business is a coalition focused on climate change. I have a PhD in environmental physics, so I get climate science. I think we have to realize we need to halve greenhouse gas emissions in the next decade to have a chance of avoiding truly dangerous climate change. And we've already got extreme weather today, like you mentioned, the forest fires in California. So what that means, in a world where people want to, still go to restaurants, still eat great food, still go to cinemas, travel for work, travel for pleasures, travel for family, have the lights on, where people want a great quality of life, we have to do that in a way which is free of carbon. So it's not about less pollution, it's about the end of pollution. It's not about having fewer internal combustion engines, ICE. It's about the end of the ice age, the end of the internal combustion engine. That's the future we move into. And we'll do it in mobility on the ground. We'll also have to do it in the air with the planes that travel. We've seen 17 electric plane startups in the last 12 months. So it's going fastest on the ground, you could say, but we'll see the aviation and perhaps even shipping catch up as well. So mobility is something that we're a mobile species. We want to travel, we want to meet each other, but we'll need to do it in a way that is suddenly stripped free of fossil fuels.
And is climate change a matter of leadership for you, Steve? What I mean is by CEOs making big, bold commitments?
It's about big, bold commitments. It's about ambition. It's about real action and plans behind that ambition. And it's about leading through collaborators as well. But if you look at the world we're in now, yes, we're all leaders. You know, it's about the leaders across the business, and leadership is decentralized in the world we're in now. You could look at, if you're on climate, you could think of Greta Thunberg, who was a 16-year-old schoolgirl who had, you could say 16-year-old schoolgirls don't have a lot of formal power, almost none, but she leveraged that incredibly well. So if you're a business leader, if you say a 16-year-old schoolgirl could create a global climate movement, actually, you should be able to do a lot more than that. And it's a way that creates value. Once you recognize the future's inevitable, so the future is a carbon-free future, then you have to lean in and say, let's embrace change and unlock value. And let's do that with passion and purpose and put our very best people across the business of it. And that's exciting whether you're a CEO or a technician.
To end our discussion, you mentioned it earlier, but you are the co-founder of the We Mean Business Coalition. You're working with, from what I understand, the world's most influential businesses to take actions on climate. Can you tell us in a few words about your mission and maybe a few projects that you're working on at the moment?
Well, We Mean Business is a coalition of organizations that work with businesses around the world on climate, as you say, Louise. And it's about setting bold targets and then the action behind them, and then some collaborative sectoral initiatives. So there's now, I think, 1,300 businesses globally have set 1,700 commitments in place. And some of them are things like there's a RE100, which is 260 businesses committed to 100% renewable energy. You sense the repeating theme here around going for 100%. So there's another group called EV100, which is a large group of companies that have set a target for 100% electric vehicles with real targets and timetables there. And it's a movement. I think we've normalized business leadership on climate is to set ambitious plans and targets, and then to really step behind them and look at how you reinvent your business model.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for spending some time with us, Steve. I know you're a busy man. It was great, really, to have you with us, and thank you for all these insights. For all of you that are watching us, if you want to find our content, it's on easyelectriclife.group.renault.com/en. Make sure you've noted that, easyelectriclife.group.renault.com/en. Steve, once again, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed being with us as well.
It was great. Thanks a lot, Louise, and have a good couple of days.
Wonderful. Goodbye, and thank you to all of you for watching.